Good morning and welcome to the new edition of Frontiers of Knowledge. We have seen suicide bombers. We have seen the fanatics blowing themselves up with a view to kill others. But have you seen any species which explodes itself not to kill, but to protect its tribe, its clan, its family? Are you amazed? Well, I was really amazed when I read that there is a variety of species which explodes like a bomb and sacrifices itself so that its own people might live. It's not a human being. It's a bug, a sort of a bug. As a matter of fact, it's a small ant. And ants have enemies ad nauseam. How do the ants protect themselves when they are pests and the human beings going to destroy their anthills and their colonies? So they have these ants, which are mostly in East Asia. There's places like Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, Korea, and others, that they have developed an arsenal of defense mechanisms, which includes painful bites, stings, and overpowering the enemy by sheer number. But when it goes, the danger is beyond their normal killing, normal stings, normal bites, and it senses the danger is imminent. It can go to the extent of killing itself and coats the adversaries, the coming people, in a toxic yellow goo. So this is the ultimate act of self-sacrifice. We have heard of the people, the suicide bombers of Japan, who would dive down with a torpedo and destroy the ships of the enemy. We have seen recently terrorists blowing themselves up. But their purpose was not to save somebody, it was destroy something, destroy the enemy. Now these ants belonging to Southeast Asia live in the trees. And before this, they were called yellow goo for the simple reason, whenever the scientists or the researchers will approach them, they'll think it's an enemy and they'll explode and just coat them with a yellow goo. As a matter of fact, coating the animal with a yellow goo is the first form of defense. As these ants have bodies and there are sacs on their bodies which contain a deadly liquid, and that liquid coats you with the yellow and stinks. It's a very foul smelling thing. In the hierarchy of ants, these are minor workers and they are expendable. There's nothing cinematic or spectacular about the sacrifice of the ants. And the explosion is not heroic and as dramatic as you might think. You see, their lines of defense are like a well-laid plans of the army. First, the biters. They bite on the enemies, angle their backside noses closer and contract their muscles so that the skin is opened. The sacs full of goo are then thrown at the enemy. That's the first sense. And the sticky substance, as I told you, is very pungent, very irritating and foul smelling. So it either kills the intruder or hinders its attack. And suppose the enemy is strong enough and is not deterred, that doesn't stop the ants from protecting themselves. They will come back with a new regiment, the regiment of major workers. And these are enlarged plug-shaped heads. They are called the doorkeepers. They barricade the entrance to the colony of the ant. They are the real line of defense. So after the complete war plan was observed, it was seen that they were able to explode, light would come out, sparks would fly, and that would deter the enemy. So this was quite amazing because, as I said, this act of self-sacrifice to deter the enemy has a lesson for the humanity and the mankind, that when you are at war, the more important thing is to defend yourself. Attacking is an animal-like quality. Defending is the real thing. And something amazing is there, that these species are model species and they are prone to self-sacrifice whenever there is any danger to them. But they will not explode for any reason. Suppose they want to attack somebody, they will not explode. No. They will not be animal bombs. It's only for defense. And this form of active self-sacrifice, they call it, is only in response to an attack, never an initiative. So here they differ from human beings and show clearly that they are better than human beings because they sacrifice themselves to protect, not to attack. That's the most important thing. And they are very important for the long-term survival of the species of these animals. Their dramatic death ensures that the colony lives on so that others may reproduce. So imagine a single ant is like a cell in your human body. The scientists are working on that can we replicate or mutate a cell in a human body to act like these ants, which explodes when an outer infection enters the body and protects the body. So that whenever you are in danger of disease or virus, that virus would be destroyed by the body cell itself. And therein lies the pun and the story that these creatures of nature who have been endowed and given a power to sacrifice, explode at the time of danger to protect, can be translated into a protective armor for the human beings. That there are some sacs which are implanted and the cell explodes, killing the virus. So you don't have to eat the antibiotic, you don't have to take other medication like that. This is something really amazing, and it definitely increases our knowledge. But then, amazingly, in our human body, there are immune cells. We know them. But till now, some cells have been there which were considered harmful cells or useless cells. So we are talking of cells now. The mice researchers in Australia have discovered that these so-called silent B cells, seemingly very dormant, but when activated can harm our bodies in autoimmune diseases. And they are a problem. They can cause more infections than the outer virus can. But the scientists have now discovered that the same virus cells can be motivated to act like protectors. They will be lying inside the body to fight danger of protection and dangerous infections. And especially in the case of diseases like HIV, the cells can be redeemed. And this has been done by the Garvan Institute of Medical Science. And the question arises, if these cells, which are at present either useless or can help the attacking virus, how can they be made to turn against the same virus? You see, these cells have self-binding antibodies. And these self-binding antibodies are a danger to the human beings. They are a real, genuine risk to the health. So, the scientists thought that the genetic machinery that produces the cells to attack our body can be adapted to instead combat foreign infection. So this is in fact turning your enemy into a friend and using him as a defense force. Again, you can compare it with an army strategy where spies, for example, are caught and they are not punished, they are turned into double agents. They go back to their home country, little knowing that now they have become traitors, and they keep on sending the information. This is like two armies are fighting, and some soldiers of one army go to the other army and start fighting on their side, deserting. So they want these cells which are in the body to be the deserters, but deserters in favor of human health. And that is something which we have got to appreciate. And these cells, they say, are exceptionally useful for fighting infections like HIV, because HIV cannot be fought by our normal immune system. So these cells will mimic our human biological material and then fight. And those diseases, those infections still now deemed unconquerable can be conquered and defeated. The findings were shown in the Australian Financial Review. I am amazed that the medical news coming in the Financial Review, but it very clearly says that these cells have a capacity 5,000 times more if they can be adapted, and this has been done in the mice. So they do not clog up the system. They provide weapon only to fight off the invaders, and they are wolf in sheep's clothing, and other cells of the body cannot fight them. So as long as they are mutated or inside the body, there is no danger to them. They are not going to fight the good cells because they have been adapted. They have been neutralized, to use the military term. So the idea of self-reactive cells can contribute to the immunity through germinal center redemption. And it's important in response to pathogens that hide themselves to avoid immunity. And those pathogens are like the pathogens of HIV. Now, this is a remarkable turnaround for a class of immune cells long mistaken as junk. So junk which was there in the body is being adapted to the good of the human beings. So it's perfectly viable, workable mechanism that can do good. What they say is that the immune cell is precious when it comes to fighting invading microbes. And the immune system recycles, conserves, and polishes up these useless cells So like, you have apples and they're going bad. So you polish up those apples rather than throw them away. Same way, these cells which were considered to be junk are now being used for the good of the humanity. So we find that the animal world can help us destroy the invading microbes, and the cells in our body, which we thought to be useless, can also be adapted to help us fight infections. So these two new developments are likely to be a watershed in the medical advancement. Thank you.